the all-time greats from Capcom. Strider made its way into the arcades in 1989, based off a manga series of the same name. It was also ported to the Nintendo NES a couple of months after the arcade was released, but the one we're looking at today is the Mega Drive port. Now, when I first played this, I was just actually blown away by the graphics. It may not look like much now, but in was it 1990? Was absolutely fantastic. As you can see, it's a bit of a side-scrolling sort of platformer-ish, sort of, I wouldn't say beat 'em up, sort of a plasma sword 'em up. Strider's got the abilities to, obviously with his plasma sword, to climb walls, destroy enemies, and pick up little pods that sort of help him along the way, whether it boosts his energy, lengthens his sword, or basically gets these little droids that fly around and shoot bullets for him. It's a great, great action-packed game by Capcom, and one of the early games that Capcom actually had a bit of a hit with prior to Street Fighter 2. Also, this was ported to the Sega Master System in 1992. I'm not going to show any footage of that because it wasn't as good as this. I'm pretty sure it was actually coded by US Gold, or released by US Gold, as opposed to this Capcom release. It was a poor man's version of, which I actually had to put up with prior to getting it on the Mega Drive, but it did the job, but it's not as great as the original. All the memories from this part. Look at that parallax scrolling, guys. Running down the hill. So many explosions. Flip, flip, flip! Oh, awesome. Now, the game itself wasn't that hard. You could boost up the difficulty, obviously. It would obviously put more enemy sprites on the screen and things like that. But yeah, it wasn't too bad. Some of the later levels, it does get pretty frenetic, as it does with most old school retro games. But it's not a rage quit game. Interspersed throughout is obviously the little cutscenes with some awesome music. Obviously telling the story of Strider Hiryu and what he's about, and taking out the big Grandmaster. The character Strider Hiryu was actually quite popular amongst the fans. This, as I said, was a bit of a hit for Capcom. That they included him in some of the later games, like Marvel vs. Capcom, Marvel vs. Capcom 2, and I think in Marvel vs. Capcom 3 they actually made him a playable character. Now, this is a pretty common title find for the Sega Mega Drive. You can pick it up off eBay or probably some op shops or something like that for pretty cheap. I'm pretty sure they did a re-release version for the Sega Classics collection. And it's also been ported onto a couple of the PlayStation Capcom compilations. But Strider didn't stop at the Mega Drive version. There was a couple of shitty releases for the Sega Master System, but the one you really want to play is the one on PlayStation 1. Now, this is where Strider came back in sort of a 2D/3D glory. And man, I absolutely love this game. I'm pretty sure it didn't get a local release. I'm actually playing an import disc copy of this one. But man, an absolutely awesome game. It's got a lot of throwbacks or sort of nods towards the older Strider games. And it looks absolutely fantastic. There's also some fantastic giant boss battles to do along the way. And like this guy is not too challenging. As you see, I kick his metallic ass in a couple of seconds. Pwned! Basically, Strider's kept his moveset from the earliest Strider ones on the Sega Mega Drive. He's still got his plasma sword. He's still got his diving kick or slide kick, but he's got the ability to get a power-up for his plasma sword where it actually shoots out sort of homing plasma blasts, which is very, very handy for some of the boss battles. Now this was released in the year 2000 of the PlayStation 1, as I said earlier. It came as a double disc set. It came with obviously Strider 2, and it had a ported version of Strider 1, or the arcade classic, also on disc 2, which was a bit of fun to play through as well. One thing you will note about this game, it's pretty easy. I managed to get through this in about an hour, hour and a half, and that was set on, I think, a normal setting, so I think I've boosted this up to hard back in the day and still sort of breezed through it. It's pretty lenient with your continues and whatnot. But I found myself playing through this constantly. It's just a fun action game. It doesn't stress you out too much. It's fun just to run around and destroy everything. So it's definitely worth a playthrough a couple of times. This is a bit of a nod towards the first one, where you're spinning around the what's it called? I think it's called. Pretty epic stuff here. Climbing up the outside of a rocket that's just been launched and kicking ass along the way. Awesome game. Slowly making your way to the final boss. Sorry for any spoilers, but I just had to show this guy's awesome. Now, one of the things, when you do play through this, you actually meet another Strider along the way, a Strider Hien, and if you finish the game, one of the cool things about that is you get to unlock Strider Hien and play through it with him. Not only is he cool, but he kicks ass with his boomerang plasma sword. Enemies just crumble before him. Awesome replay value. So, as we leave you with this epic scenery of me standing on top of a waterfall, do yourself a favour and check out Strider and Strider 2 for the PlayStation 1. Fantastic games. Hope you enjoyed Retro Recommendation. I'll be back soon.